strongest.
Hello everyone, Purple Georgie here, and okay, I usually talk about anime on this channel, or at least something close to an anime, but today I want to talk about something different, a character from an adult, edgy cartoon with biblical and meaningful references, who is also a crazy manipulator. Well, at least that's what they say. Yep, you all saw the title anyway. We're talking about Alastor the Radio Demon. Basically, yeah, today I want to talk about Vivienne Smitrana's favorite character, who, by the way, according to her own words, she was developing for about 10 years. But before I start, I have to make a remark. Hazbin Hotel, for me, was always just a funny, engaging, but kinda stupid musical. And since it's primarily the musical, since they have like 2 to 3 songs every episode, I was ready to ignore all the plot holes as long as the show was delivering on its main purpose, being an engaging musical. And I would say for the most part, especially in season 1, the show was delivering on that. It was engaging and it was capturing you in certain scenes. But in season 2...
Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel makes me wanna go to actual hell.
Well, we got what we got, because instead of focusing on the themes of redemption, we started focusing on themes of manipulation and of course crazy master plans from certain characters. And today I want to talk about the primer focus of all of that mess. Alastor, since he's from the start, has been established as a manipulator and supposedly has been manipulating also from the start. I guess I also mentioned Voxel a little bit farther in the video, since these guys are kind of a package deal, but bruh, the manipulation from the media overlord are not even like bad, it's just they're written in a way that literally everyone just becomes stupid whenever he speaks. Like everyone, even the archangels who are supposedly like 1,000 years old, but no, they become babies whenever they have to be manipulated upon, so that a guy with a TV for a head seemed a little smarter until it's his turn, since in the scenes where Alastor's manipulating Vox, he also loses a few IQ points, so that Alastor now seemed a little smarter. And before I get into the whole discussion of the Alastor, I think it's important to understand how this character was presented originally in the pilot. Because, oh boy, the presentation in the very first scene was really well done. Bro was presented as the master manipulator, as such a scary figure that even Lucifer's daughter was afraid of just letting him into the building because she didn't know what to expect from him. Even simply speaking to Radio Demon was terrifying other demon creatures, since he was known to trick you at the very first conversation. Even if you just shake hands with him, it could have ended really terribly for you. On top of that, Alastor simply does not care about people around him. He several times established that he never considered any people around him as friends. He only keeps hanging around them because he wants to see them fail, get tortured, or killed. He's always acting like the strongest one in the room and always makes people terrified with his smile. That is how Alastor was originally established. But the thing is, after his establishment, Alastor seems more like all talk rather than actually doing anything. Like, bruh, it legitimately feels like Vivienne watched characters like Makima, for example, who also smiles all the time and has this evil presence, only Makima is like doing shit all the time. Literally everything she says is a manipulation, and on top of that, she's offing characters just whenever she doesn't like them. Alastor, in the meantime, acts like he's really cool most of the time, but most of the time he also doesn't support his words with actions. And then, oh my god, he's glazed all over internet. Okay, let me show you what I mean. In first episode of season 1, Charlie needed a commercial for the hotel, so Veggie was trying to film it. Alastor, of course, wasn't trying to help because, well, that's his whole deal, and also he's the radio demon and he doesn't really like TV and cameras and everything attached to it, so he was just making fun of her. Until Veggie pointed out that it would be quite boring to watch ever an empty hotel, which would stay empty if they don't film the stupid commercial for the subplot, to which Alastor just says, fine. And then, like, bruh, he just helps her film the stupid commercial, like, right away. Like, and I'm watching this and I'm like, bruh, why? This is the first appearance of the character after a pilot, where he was established as a person who likes to watch others suffer and make fun of them. Like, bro literally folded under zero pressure the first time Vaggie slightly impolitely asks him to do anything, he was like, right away, fine, I'll do it. And that shit is really funny, because Show really tried to pretend like Alastor didn't just do exactly what Veggie said and actually had control over the situation or something. Like, yeah, he did say that they're gonna make a deal, he's gonna help Veggie, but instead she's not gonna ask him to ever engage with cameras ever again, but it's kind of stupid because it never actually go anywhere. Like, the subplot ended and nobody ever remembered it. They never ever used cameras on the show again in 2 whole seasons. Well, because they never ever needed to film anything else. Therefore, like, I don't know, it just feels like a narrative dead end. Veggie herself established that you're not supposed to make deals with Alastor in any case. Like, since Alastor is a deal maker, any deal with him only favors him. That was something we established from the pilot. But now she just makes a simple request and he's like, fine, let's do that, and it never goes anywhere. Like, for example, I originally thought that later on, where they're gonna start fighting Vox, this is gonna be remembered. Like, Veggie's gonna ask Alastor for help again, and he's gonna be like, no, remember, we made a deal, I'm never engaging with camera technology ever again. And since Vox is using cameras, Alastor's is gonna not help to fight him, or something like that, because that way, this deal and Alastor's words actually would have had to wait. But no, he just did exactly what Veggie wanted, even though he was not supposed to. He established as a person who wouldn't want to do that, so this scene just feels weird. It's just a subplot that apparently was just supposed to waste time, and the character wasn't acting in character. And oh boy, it doesn't get better after that. However, okay, next interaction between Vox and Alastor was actually quite engaging, because it features one of the best songs in Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel. However, narratively, I must say, it doesn't really do anything besides establishing the rivalry of those two people, but there's like no manipulation or anything from Alastor. Like, he's just rage baiting Vox and then says a pretentious edging monologue where he says he's gonna kill everyone or something. Like, once again, it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, Charlie doesn't ask Alastor, like, what was that about? Why did you say that? But okay, since it has a really good song, I can let it slide. The next scene, however, I cannot let slide because it establishes Alastor as a buffoon, more or less, in the face of other characters, and I can't even understand why Vivziepop would write it that way. So, long story short, Alastor needed to go to the Overlord meeting. On top of that, by the way, once again, he was doing exactly what Veggie says for 0 reasons. She told him to take eggs out of the hotel, and he just does it. Even though he doesn't really need to, like, why is he doing that? He hates them? He could have just killed them, by the way, but he didn't do that. Anyhow, as Alastor goes to Overlord meeting, he meets up with Zestill, who's like a spider overlord. And oh boy, their whole dialogue is them just glazing each other so much. Like, not even saying anything specific. Like, Alastor doesn't mention anything Zestill is known for. Zestill doesn't mention anything that Alastor did. They just basically say, like, nouns that are praising each other. Like, and you know why this is a problem. This scene is supposed to establish Alastor as a kind of a feared person, because while Zestill and Alastor are talking, all the other NPCs are running away from them, just terrified from the sight of those two. Which makes sense, since Alastor is established to be known for literally going on a killing spree all over hell once he showed up there. And you know what's wrong with that? Is that when Alastor shows up at the Overlord meeting, and he's like, oh, you all must have been wondering, where have I been for the last 7 years? Because I went to the massacre and then literally just disappeared. And no one actually cares? Like, even Carmilla is like, oh, Alastor, welcome back. Whatever. Let's move on to the more important topic. Like, shouldn't they all be at the very least concerned because they're all overlords? And in one room with them is the guy who's literally known for killing overlords. Day 1 after he showed up in hell. Like, that's his whole backstory. Like, these kind of interactions legit feel like a fanfic. Like, in terms of writing. they're portrayed as if Alastor was already established in the whole another series where he was already described, explored, and understood. Fanfic writers typically don't focus on exploring the character because, well, character's depth is not exactly the point of fanfics. But in here, Alastor is written as if we already know everything about him. Like, we already know that he's a master manipulator and we don't need to see any proof of his actual manipulation. Because I thought this whole interaction, this whole overlord meeting is going to be some sort of manipulation from the Alastor. Like, he pretended to be friends with them just so that later he can manipulate them or use them for something or just kill them, I don't know. But no, none of that happens. And I'm not saying that there's like 0 scenes where Alastor was shown to actually dominate someone and actually prove that his words actually mean something. In the episode where he was rap battling Lucifer and like basically baiting him, by the way, like that was not only funny, but actually Alastor was finally showing some backbone, because rage baiting an actual Prince of Hell actually does prove that you're more or less trying to act like the strongest one in a room, despite not actually being one. But then just Vivzi's self-insert comes into the room and manipulates Alastor into helping her because there's mafia after her. And this character only shows up for like 1 episode. That again doesn't lead anywhere. I thought that Alastor was helping her because, again, he wanted to use her in some sort of way. But no! And I remind you, it is the same character who is established as a manipulative piece of shit who doesn't care about anyone but himself. And he literally gets great pleasure from seeing other people get tortured or suffer in any way. But okay, him dealing with Lucifer is still funny. That was actually in character, so is him making a deal with Charlie. And the deal itself, at the very first introduction and first season, seemed kinda smart. But in this scene, everything is done correctly, at least. He comes to the Charlie where she's in her lowest, where she's crying and panicking. He explains how to get overhand on the angels, and he makes a deal, which the deal is pretty stupid in itself, not gonna lie. Everything surrounding the deal is written correctly. Alastor is using circumstance to his advantage and manipulating Charlie when she is afraid that angels are gonna show up and kill everyone. But the deal itself is basically like, bruh, I'm gonna ask you something, I don't even know what yet. Because as is revealed in Season 2, and here comes a spoiler of Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel, if you like don't want to get spoiled, go to this timestamp. In second season, it is literally revealed that Alastor had no idea what he was asking from Charlie. He just made that just in case, just so maybe in the future he can utilize this somehow. And by God, that makes no sense. Because like in the end of season 2, when he uses that contract, by the way, almost randomly, like his whole plan was basically just pure luck. Everyone was like pretending like everything went according to his plan, when in reality his plan was like, well, mostly not even connected. But okay, in order to explain why this entire master plan and deal with between Rosie and Alastor is just complete BS, I need to explain the entirety of the plot twist in the finale of Hazbin Hotel Season 2. Alright, so essentially we have 3 soul deals between demons that are in play at the end of Season 2. First, it's deal between Alastor and Rosie. When Alastor died, he made a contract with Rosie where she makes him stronger in hell, and in exchange she has to find something we don't even know what yet. Then it's contract between Charlie and Alastor, where Alastor is gonna reveal weakness of angels, but in exchange Charlie's gonna do something for him, something that just doesn't have to require her hurting somebody. And finally, the third deal, which Alastor came up with after Rosie said that she's not gonna invalidate their contract. And it's really important to establish, because the whole twist and the plan that happens at the end of Season 2, Alastor only came up with it after he talked to Rosie and she refused to let him go. So that whole deal with Charlie in Season 1, he literally just made that at random. He literally didn't even know what was he gonna ask, he just did it just in case. Bruh, that manipulation goes crazy, let me tell you. Like, okay, I guess it's still kinda smart to have a deal with Lucifer's daughter up your sleeve just in case you ever gonna need it. But again, this whole time, Alastor was always implied to be the master strategist or something. Like, his all deals are supposed to lead to something, or at least have a thought behind them. But turns out apparently he's making those soul deals just because he wants to, I guess. He doesn't have any overall overarching plan. He just does them, so maybe in the future he can utilize them, because maybe in the future there's gonna be a time where he's gonna need them. But anyway, in order to free himself and basically outplay everyone, Alastor goes to Vox and says that he's gonna make him his captive. In exchange, Vox just can't touch Charlie. Vox, of course, agrees because beating the radio demon was his vet dream for like 50 years, but season 2 finale, it's revealed that Alastor actually was orchestrating everything so that he was finally free from Rosie's deal. Which he did buy, and watch the hands here because it becomes kinda stupid. He was annoying Vox that he's actually not the strongest one in hell, and said that he couldn't even admit Charlie that he's the strongest. After which, Vox invites Charlie to the party where he is making fun of everyone, and after revealing he's pretty strong and outsmarted everyone in this really stupid way, like even the archangels and pretty much everyone, he mind controlled half the demons in the show. But anyway, after all of that, Charlie still refused to admit that Vox is the strongest, but Alastor used his part of the deal to make Charlie say that Vox is the strongest, which breaks his curse with Rosie, since, well, somebody higher in power than Rosie admitted that Alastor is not the strongest, therefore their contract is invalid. After which Vox touches Charlie, because, well, he's kinda, that's his thing kinda too, he's touching characters all the time in the show, and that breaks the final contract between Alastor and Vox, since, well, the contract was so that Vox can't touch Charlie literally. And since he actually physically touched her, the contract is invalid as well. And just like that, Alastor outsmarted everyone, and wait a minute. Why the hell didn't Alastor right away, as soon as he made contract with Charlie, didn't just ask her to flat out say that he's not the strongest sinner in hell? The contract between Rosie and Alastor doesn't have any specifications, so literally he could have get rid of it right away. He didn't even need a contract, actually. He probably could have just asked Charlie to say that and she would have said it, which probably would have also broken his contract, since, like, as we learned, those contracts are pretty literal. Like, I'm pretty sure he could have also asked Lucifer to do the exact same thing, and that probably would have worked as well. So, like, as a result, it really just looks like nobody knew exactly what that feast is going to be. Like, the writers didn't even know themselves. Just in the end, they kind of stitched it together so that Alastor looked really smart, when in reality, he could have just done that from the start. Like, bro just made an extra contract with Vox for literally 0 reasons. I guess you could say that he was manipulating these while being Vox's captive, but that also didn't go anywhere because they were still on his side during final battle, so that manipulation from Alastor also didn't go anywhere. And what exactly was the manipulation anyway? Okay, the part where he says you can lay your hands on Charlie and Vox literally does that, that part is kinda clever, okay. But what is there besides that? Alastor's deal with Charlie is literally, I have to ask anything from you. Like, if her part of the deal was literally so that Alastor can ask anything from her, couldn't Alastor just ask to break the contract between him and Rosie? Bruh, she's daughter of the Archangel. Like, are you telling me that wasn't the option? Oh, and I don't even want to hear the excuses that Alastor didn't have enough screen time, or show didn't have enough screen time. After all, they only have 8 episodes per season. Like, that's not my problem as a viewer. Because by that logic, you can say my shitty videos with Battlefield gameplay are not actually shitty, because, well, I'm sorry, I don't have enough time to record these videos. I have college and work where I have to work 40 hours a week. Like, that doesn't work that way. If you post something online, and especially if you take money for it, then anybody's gonna judge you. And I feel like Alastor definitely should be judged with how many actions he does that are actually impactful. Especially when all of the manipulation that he does don't actually go anywhere, and he doesn't even do that much of the manipulating. Like, Rosie calls him a crazy manipulator at the end of season 2, but, like, where? Where is the manipulation exactly? And okay, like, contract with Vox, counts. Okay, I'll allow it. But everything else kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's a kind of stretch for a crazy manipulator. But you know what the funniest part? Despite everything I just say, despite all of the criticism I spilled out at the Alastor, he's still my favorite character in the Hazbin Hotel because with all the flaws I've just described, he's still more entertaining to watch than a lot of the characters in that show. Can't wait for season 3. And I think that is it for today. Tell me in the comments if you liked this video. Tell me in the comments if Alastor is actually way better manipulator than he is or something. Like, subscribe, and see ya! Next video is probably gonna be about the light novels of Classroom of the Elite, which, oh boy, I'm looking up to that.